Welcome everyone. I'm Greg Schnell, the Canadian technician, here to host the Market Buzz. This show looks at weekly setups across the US market. Using the tools available on StockCharts, we'll look for long time frame trades. Please subscribe to my articles, my Twitter feed, and gregschnell.com for more information. So today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about the alert engine on StockCharts. A lot of people don't understand how valuable the tool is, and I want to work my way through that alert engine, giving you all of the tools you'll need to now create fascinating automated help for you in the stock market. So what is an alert? An alert actually is like a scan, but it runs all the time or whenever you tell it to. And when it runs, then you can have it update you if there's new information. So the power is immense, because rather than you getting up every day and running your scans, you can actually set this up to run the scans for you, put them in an email to you, put them in a text message to you, put them on your screen, whatever you would like. And so it's a very powerful tool. And then how many do you get with your membership? Well, because of with the pricing model, you've got different levels, and you can have up to 100, which is a phenomenal number. Very, very helpful. And how to automate alerts. I think one of the big things, what an alert is it's an automated scan. So I probably should have worded this line differently, but how to automate scans is an alert. And then again, you can get them either on the mail, text, or on screen. And one of the benefits that I think of just running these scans is you'll go weeks and you'll have no data. And then all of a sudden, depending on what your scan is, it will start to turn up data. And when it starts to turn up data in a particularly industry group or sector or whatever you're interested in, if it's semiconductors or if it's 5G or if it's oil stocks or whatever, as these turn, you get the memo right away that something's changing. And so I'm going to show you how that works for you. So the other thing is that you can also use scans at your industry level as well. And so you can scan for how many industry groups are starting to turn, and that can give you information that way. So here is an example of mail scans that I have running, and on September 20, or mail alerts I have running, and on September 26th, we had 3 oil stocks that the full stochastic was turning higher. And then just on November the 6th, we had 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. Something's changing, and you can see all of a sudden all of these are starting to turn up. And as they're starting to turn up, the idea is you quickly see that it's changing. And so even if you're if you've been avoiding the sector because it was out of favor, or the industry group or whatever, all of a sudden when they start to show up, so this is Chesapeake Energy or whatever, and Devon Energy and Canna, these are big companies, Concho Resources. So you can go through and you can look at these stocks and then just decide if it's a trade you want or not. But and in your mail you can actually click right on these links, and it'll take you right to a chart and open it in your default style. It's awesome. It's really, really friendly. So I want to get into that. I want to show you the power of them, and hopefully by the time you're done this presentation, you'll be all fired up about using them too. So first of all, where do you start? I want to start on this page, your regular dashboard. So you've hit the Your Dashboard tab, and you come down here, and on the left side is Scans, and on the right side is Alerts. And what you can do is, when you have an alert, the idea would be that you go grab that alert and you it sits there just like a scan. So if I had a scan over here and then I had a scan on the right hand side, so this IPO turning up scan or whatever, rather than having to go run that scan every day, this will run it, and anytime there's a result, it will send me an email. Okay, so how does that work? So the idea is I have a favorites list of IPO stocks that was generated, and Then I've got a weekly full stochastic, and what it does is whenever this full stochastic turns above 20, send me an email. And it might not matter whether or not the full stochastic is turning above 20 or above 50. What you're trying to find out is all of a sudden, these IPOs that have been out of favor, have they started to improve? And when they start to improve and all start to turn up together, then there's a story there for you. So you're not trying to... It might not show you a stock that matters today, but more generally, when you start to see whole industries shifting, like all of the banks all of a sudden starting to turn or something like that, that can be helpful. So that's a pretty important little clue. And one of the things, so when you're looking for an alert, again, the idea is that it runs as often as you tell it to. So that's very helpful. I want to point out one thing. So on this alert page, actually, let's go back out to the main page. And what you see here is this little instructions link for alerts. Hit that, and that is going to open up this technical alerts page here on the StockCharts. Chart School articles. And so what you'll have is you have all of these, how these alerts work, learn more how to set them, and I'm going to show you how to set them right now. But the idea behind the alerts are processed by taking all active alerts for users, running the associated scans, and determining how many of these alerts are triggered. So as an example, if all of a sudden 3 stocks trigger, then this alert gets triggered, and so it'll create a notification, and you can have it do it through the market hours, at the end of the day, first thing in the morning. So if you want to find stocks that jumped 5% in the morning, you could just run this scan, and the first thing, so as soon as the alert engine runs, it waits like three minutes or something to just see what's going on, and it'll give you a list of all of these stocks. Now you can have it flash up on your dashboard, or you can have it sent to you by text, or you can have an email come out to you, whatever you would like. But the big thing, when you do this, there's all kinds of help in here. What I want to show you is the real power of them, and how I use them every day, because I think they're a very helpful component. So first of all, let's go back here. So if you were to write a scan, so let's just say you were going to do a new scan, and whatever the scan was going to be, we're going to go pick an industry group or something. Let's pick, I don't know, whatever. I'm gonna pick restaurants and bars, and from this scan, we've put it up in here. Now, we probably need it to do something. We don't just want a scan of what a restaurant and bar is, but we might want something like, maybe it's, I don't know, I'm just trying to look for something quick here. How about an elder bar green? So that's great. Okay, so we're going to add that in, and we're going to add one more of those, and then we're going to change it a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to find a stock that last week's elder bar red is true, and this week's weekly elder bar green is true. So what this is going to do, and then we could just check our syntax, and it says your syntax is correct. So this is how we would do it in the scan editor. Well, in the technical alerts editor, it's the same thing. We're going to take this, just copy whatever we had written here, and now we're going to go to the alerts workbench, and we're just going to paste this in here. And when we do that, we get, we can check our syntax, just make sure I've copied it all right. And now we save the alert, but we have to do a few more things. So first of all, I went in, not just cancel. Yeah, okay. So when you open, I should take this back one more step, sorry. When you open your alerts, you need to hit this new button up here, and then there's a price alert, and that basically says if Apple goes to $250, send me a note. Or we have these advanced ones, and these advanced alerts, we're going to paste in here this restaurant bars. And what we see here on this alert is, do we want it to run all day? Probably not. What we might want it to run is at market close, And then we want to know if the criteria is greater than 0, alert me with an email and continue this alert. So once a day at market close, it's going to run this little scan and it's going to send you a note. So then what would we do with that information? Well, we would save this alert as restaurants and bars with a green elder candle. So, and maybe we should just do whatever, restaurants with a green elder candle. Okay, so we're going to save this name. And now this is very simple, but what we want to do is we need to run this scan. And so when we run it as an actual scan, we run it now. And by hitting that button, that's what it's going to do. It's going to go get scan results, and it comes up with 5 of them. Now, this first one doesn't have any volume. Cracker Barrel Old Country Store. Let's just go look at that one. And so you can just see it's kind of oscillating back and forth. Let's go look at it on a weekly chart, because we've asked for a weekly scan. And then we need to change some settings here so that we can see a little bit more. We need to go get the Elder Impulse system and update that. And we probably don't want 5 years of data, maybe whatever, 1 year of data. And with that, now we want to see what's going on. So here the stock was red, green. Here the stock was red, blue, red, green. So it's trying to improve. And you can see back here, it went red, blue, green. So this wouldn't trigger, but this would trigger where it was red and immediately went to green and then went on a 6-week run. We can set up whatever we want. My point is to show you how to do this. So when I did the scan, the actual scan workbench, it will run right now, but then it doesn't run again tomorrow. What the alert workbench does is takes the exact same code and allows you to define when that runs. Now I want to talk about some of the settings from that. So because you can define when it wants to run, we just need to be a little more careful and take a few more minutes here. So first of all, continuously all day. Do you really want it to be sending you alerts continuously forever? So the answer is probably not, but you could say do it every hour or at the market open or at the market close. I like to get a group of emails at the end of the day. I get a few first thing in the morning, helping me with the markets. But on this panel here, you need to say if it's equal to 0, if it's greater than equal to 0. So, but that's going to give you every stock that it will be confusing. So I would encourage you to focus on greater than 0. So if there's more than nothing, send you 1, or greater or equal to 10 alerts, then send you an email, something like that. But it gets more confusing. So try to focus, get it working for you using these basic ones. And this is not equal to at the bottom here. So if it's not equal to, some number, 10, 20, 30, whatever it is, then don't do that. And then for alerting by an SMS, you need to have your phone number, right? And so the idea being that when you do that, that phone number that you'll put on file in your login at StockCharts, that phone number would show up on the system, and then that would enable you to literally look down at your phone and see the text sitting there. So it's very nice that way. And then the workbench, of course, it's just going to flash up right here on the screen. When you're sitting here looking at a stock, all of a sudden it's just going to show up. If you've got this up on your screen, it's just going to show up as a box right in the middle of your screen. Okay. So I usually like the email. And the one thing that is beautiful about the email, let's just say that you're not working for a period of time or whatever, you're gone for a day or a week. These emails are going to come once a day and just sit there. And at the end of the week, you can go and look. And if you do a weekly command, the one thing that happens is at the beginning of the week, it might only have 1 stock. By Friday, it might have 6 stocks. If it moved up on Monday and back down on Tuesday, it'll fall off the list. But whatever finishes on Friday is now the list for that week, and that's it. And so if you ask for weekly commands, they'll come in all at once a day, but you might just want to go look at the Friday values and then use that to help you for the weekend review or whatever, and then use it again next week. So I would encourage you, the one thing that's nice about the email is just having them there when you want to go back and get them. So, and then next I would say, if it's something that you're going to run regularly, then don't delete it. And perhaps like the pause function, I think what would happen, let's say I want Apple over $260 a share, then pause this alert, because every time Apple flicks up above 260, down below 260, up above 260, it's going to keep ringing. So you need to decide that. But I think if you set it up to do it once a day and say continue, so at market close, if Apple went above $260, and then continue this alert. So I've shown you how to do these advanced alert. Let's go back and look at some of the more simple components, just these very simple price-based alerts. So I want an email when Apple crosses above whatever, $260. And so what makes this very simple, maybe put in the price, I think. Yeah, I think that's done. And then save. And then, yeah, okay. So just put in the price and then save your alert. And then now it's going to be Apple. It automatically named the title for me. Now it sits there. Now the one thing that you have to decide is, it's going to send that to me once and then stop. If I wanted to tell it, for it to tell me every time that happens, or any stock that crosses above $260 I want to look at. Obviously, that's not a command we would like, but the point would be you can set that up. So think about the scan engine as how tight you want it, or in my case, how wide you want it. And I think what I like to use is for it to go into industry groups and kind of scan. So I might say, go search the semiconductor group, go search the banking group, go search the gold miners, go search oil stocks, go search industrials, whatever the type of investing you like to do. So once you get that, now down here you've got this Your Alerts button, and it'll show them all. And so here's this one stock that I had set up back here, and it's paused. Okay, so I don't care. So now I'm just going to delete that. And again, these are in lists of 10 stocks or 10 scans. And so this IPOs with a green candle will just delete that. And whoops. So when you delete these, the whole idea, whatever your workload type is, then you can go in and get them. So I'm a pro member, so I've used 12 of 100 alerts, and that's fine for me. And as time goes by, I'll add a few more. But for the most part, I like these ones that are bigger picture scans and not so focused on an individual stock. Okay, now the other thing to think about on the alert workbench is you can make them much more detailed than I did, obviously, but perhaps it could be an alert where you want to know if a moving average has crossed another moving average and price is above $5. All of those functions are available to you. You can go in and just keep adding to it. You don't have to keep it as simple as I made it. Now, the next thing that I do want to show you is StockCharts has some alerts that run all the time. And this page, you can find, when you go to Charts and Tools over here, we have your alerts here. Okay, and down here we have predefined technical alerts and predefined scans. So when we go to predefined technical alerts, what will happen, and I want to show you this page in a bigger context, because when the stock market was weak in the early part of October, and I was saying, I really want to avoid this market, I'm not very happy here. and everything was coming up red. This almost kind of confirms your feeling. Now all of a sudden things start to improve around October the 3rd, but nothing happened for almost a week. And then on October the 8th and 9th, things really started to improve, and you start to see this. And then, so as the market runs on, you get an idea of what is working. Now here, in this case, consumer staples is a defensive sector, so it's crossing down. Is that bad? Probably not, because the industrial sector is crossing up. And so it's not just kind of as simple as red and green, but I think more importantly, what's happening, take a quick look at them. But these general scans are quite helpful, and you can see very quick which way the market is leaning by reading through them. So again, how do I get there? Let's just go to Charts and Tools, and you can head over, and under Reports and More, it's predefined technical alerts. And with the technical alert, the one thing that becomes very important is that you have to remember what you set up. So unless you want to go look at it every time, you want your title to be relatively important, to lay out exactly what you were hoping to find. And then with your scan results, with your alert results, the one thing I will say is when they come in the form of I'm just going to go get my screenshot here. Let me think about this. How am I going to do that? Okay, when you do a screenshot like this, so the titles come out, and then with these titles, when you click on them, it'll take you over. Now, the one thing that is a problem is there's no real way to kind of automate those into a group or into a chart list quickly. So the one thing that I would suggest that you can do is if all of a sudden that scan interests you today, so whatever, when oil's producing 1 chart a day, I don't really care. When all of a sudden oil's producing 12 or 15 charts, now I care. Then what I could do is I could just either go into my alert and grab that code, or I can go into my scan engine and just run that code very quickly, copy and paste it into the scan engine, run it, and then save it as a chart list. So maybe I should explain that a little bit better. So let me go to my alerts, and let me just go grab whatever, weekly full stow oil crossing. So I like this, and now I just say, okay, I want this, I want the output of this to actually put it into a chart list. And the easy way to do that is to go and open a scan workbench and copy and paste it in here very quickly. I mean, that took 20 seconds or something. And so now I run my scan. Here's my scan results. And so with these, I have the ability to merge or replace an existing chart list with these results. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down and dump them into some, whatever scan location. So now I've got them here. And then with this one, what I want to do is go in. I like to look at weekly charts, so I'm going to set it to weekly. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say apply style to all. And so now that I've got this, what I want to know, this particular scan is looking for the weekly full stochastic starting to turn up. And so when it turns up, now you can see it's had a signal back here, but it didn't cross above 20. Here it crossed above 20. But as it's turning up, now I can decide if I like this. So I've said apply style to all. And the idea being that when I change the style and apply it to everything, I can also go and say view all now and just quickly roll through them, right? It's much easier. So this is just starting to turn up. Am I interested yet? Probably not. Momentum trend still failing, so no. This one was signaling, and then with this price action is probably going to roll back over. Here's Continental Resources, and it's turning up here, and you could see just going back up again, but we've already had 2 false signals here. I do like the fact that the base held and the PPO is starting to turn up at the same time. There's a long downtrend here that's starting to break. So all of a sudden this chart starts to look a little better to me. Hopefully I've shown you how to quickly take the alert stuff. If all of a sudden you're interested and you want to go in and look at it, you can just quickly pop these up. So again, here is your whatever, Calon Petroleum. This name is not going to pop up for me any other way. The only way I'm going to find it is when some technical indicator hits it. So either in this case, the PPO is turning up, the full stochastic is turning up, and still then I might not be interested. But the idea, one of the things about commodities, you got to buy them near the lows because, you want this run. You don't want just the little run from here up for a few weeks and then nothing. So whenever I trade my commodities, I like to buy them near the low. So I'm looking for some sort of a full stochastic signal, a PPO signal, something like that to help me get into the trade a little more timely. So here's Concho Resources, same thing here, full stochastic moving above 20. The PPO is starting to give me my signal, and it's got a bit of a base here. It needs to probably get above $80 for us to really get interested in the stock. When we look at Devon Energy, same idea, but really quickly we can go through, and if we don't like a stock, we just hit the delete button, right? Here's EQT, and so I'm just going to hit delete, and it's gone. Now, when you're working through your chart lists, again, the whole idea of the alert is to make it simple. I think putting them in a mailing, in an email, is one of the nicest things because you can just go back and get them. You can highlight them and delete them all at the same time if you don't care, or if you've already got a full portfolio. But at least it's keeping you abreast of changes in the market. And you can go back and look at 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or whatever if you don't throw out the mail, and compare it. So I think that's one of the other big value points. So with that, thanks for taking the time to join me on Market Buzz. Market Buzz airs live on Wednesdays and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 a.m. Pacific Time on StockCharts TV. You can also catch replays on the StockCharts YouTube channel or on StockCharts TV, which has a running list of technical charting informational shows. Please keep checking at gregschnell.com for more information if you're interested in some of my subscriptions. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.